Hi, everyone. This is Leo Tonkin, founder and CEO of Salt Chamber. I want to welcome you to our new web class series, Everything You Need to Know About Halogenerators. Now, for some of you, that might be a familiar term. For others, maybe heard about it and you're here to find out more. So we're going to be going over what is a halogenerator and how does it work, a little bit about the evolution of the technology. There are certain important things that you need to know about utilizing a halogenerator, such as how do you install it, as well as how do you evaluate what's the best halogenerator for your facility or for your purposes. How do you operate, maintain, and care for it, and how much does it cost? So, halogenerators are synonymous with halotherapy. Halo is the Greek word for salt. So, halotherapy and halogenerator are all about providing dry salt therapy. Now, that's got its roots based in Europe, back in the 1800s, where they were mining salt hundreds of meters underground. They started to realize that people that worked in these mines were often the healthiest people around in terms of the disease and plagues that were spreading throughout Europe. And so they realized that the salt particles, as they were mining, being in these different environmental conditions underground, really created a unique atmosphere for people being able to breathe in these salt particles that were in the air. This is what was called speleotherapy. And as they finished out digging some of the hollowed out areas, they started to put in these underground health resorts, sometimes called sanitariums. And people would travel at great distance at a great cost to have access to this respiratory benefit. And so speleotherapy really is about being involved and being, inside these areas, breathing inside of these chambers or caves as they were called. So some of the very first speleotherapy facilities, people would travel underground and spend hours and days being underground in these areas. Well, the evolution of speleotherapy happened when the Russians created the very first halogenerator. They were looking at ways to mimic and replicate the same type of particles of the salt in the air that were down inside these mines, and to bring that above ground and making it more available and accessible for people. So they started to plan out, how do we take this halogenerator and how do we connect it to a room and really provide the same type of efficacy? In fact, they were working on the science of it, where they were having the halogenerator create various size salt particles, with the smallest particles getting very deep into the respiratory system. And that's really what a halogenerator became known for. It is a device that takes in air, crushes and grinds the salt, and then disperses these micro-sized particles into an enclosed chamber or a room. And that became known as a halogenerator. And the very first rooms that were being designed actually were in hospitals and medical clinics, daycare centers. And then the first commercial salt rooms that began to appear were these types that they were making them look like people were down inside these mine areas, or what some called a salt cave. And that really is only a decor theme. The benefit did not come from having salt on the walls or salt on the floor, but because people were accustomed to knowing about being underground, that was the first decor theme that they were doing to make it feel as if you were inside these areas. So now, a little bit about halotherapy and why it's so effective. Well, many of us are familiar with wet salt therapy. This is saline solutions, gargling, neti pot, nebulizer treatments, even by the ocean. Those salt particles are moist. They're already saturated with some level of moisture. Well, dry salt therapy is very different. And that's why a halogenerator is so important, because it crushes and grinds the salt with air and creates this dry salt aerosol. So when you inhale it, it becomes super absorbent, acting like a sponge to absorb the mucus, the allergens, and the pathogens that you and I breathe in on a daily basis. And because of the structure of the salt particle, it literally acted like a toothbrush in cleaning out the lungs. It's also anti-inflammatory, so that people that had restricted air passages inside of the respiratory system, like those that have asthma and COPD, it started to widen it up to increase the oxygen flow inside our respiratory system. That's why athletes really are starting to find out about how this can be utilized both before workouts and post workouts. So there's just a lot of implications of how dry salt therapy can be really benefit for people overall that have different conditions. It also is a great, salt is great as an antibacterial agent, where it helps stop viruses and bacteria from spreading. So those that get on the onset of colds, or just to do it as a respiratory hygiene, helps build up the immune system. Because the particles are so small, it can get into the underlayers of the epidermis. It acts the same way, where if they have oily skin, it absorbs. If it is inflammation, that often is the cause of breaking out with eczema or psoriasis, it becomes an anti-inflammatory as well. So lots of great benefits of dry salt therapy. But the halogenerator is really the heart and soul of what makes a salt room or dry salt therapy as effective as it can be. So how does it work? Well, first of all, we only use pure grade sodium chloride. In fact, all of the manufacturers have been aligned with the Salt Therapy Association, stating that the only salt to be used, which is what you're breathing in and getting inside of your system, is pure grade sodium chloride. Not Himalayan salt, not Dead Sea salt, not Epsom salts. And while those salts may have its purpose, from a respiratory perspective, you only are utilizing pure grade sodium chloride. It comes from nature, from our oceans and salt beds and such, but it's been purified so that there are no additives, caking agents, or anything. You literally have 99% pure grade sodium chloride. And so the basics of a halogenerator is that there's a feeder in which the salt gets poured into, there's a grinder and blade mechanism, and then there's a fan that disperses it. So basically the salt goes into the tank, it grinds it up into very precise sized particles, and then it's dispersed into a salt room or a salt chamber or a salt booth, if you will. Now, you've heard me mention particle size. So here is a piece of hair, if you will, blown up. And the average hair is about 50 to 70 microns in diameter. Well, here you see a micron that is just 1 micron. So the size particles that our halogenerators generate is literally 2 microns. Very small. It's very deep into the respiratory system. This is why it could also penetrate into the skin. So in part of evaluating a halogenerator is to what degree the precise salt particles are. And so these are very small, you barely see them. You know, here in the United States, a lot of times people think more is better. And with the salt coming out of a halogenerator, it's very small particles. And it's not a whole large amount of salt that's in a room. According to a lot of the research, you need 10 to 24 microns per cubic meter of airspace for salt therapy to be effective. That's what a lot of the published medical studies suggest. So in designing a salt room, there are things that you need to understand to be effective. First off, you need a sealed room. So you need walls that go up to a ceiling. And you need a hard ceiling, not a drop-down ceiling, because these particles are so small, it could penetrate some of the ceiling tiles. It's fine for walls, but you want to create an enclosed space. Now, the halogenerator is attached to the room. It's actually, as you'll see, it's mounted on a wall with a hole coming into the room, and that's where the salt is being dispersed into. It's also connected to your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system because you need to manage the airflow not only in the room, but you also want to protect your system so that it doesn't corrode. Again, pure grade sodium chloride is used, and the decor that you utilize, really that's an option. I know that there's a lot of talk lately about Himalayan salt walls and panels and salt chamber designs, and provides all of that. But all of our customers realize that that's just a decor mechanism. There's absolutely no benefits from a health perspective of utilizing salt on the floor or on the walls. Yes, you want an aesthetic room, you want to create the right ambiance, but there are some new salt rooms being designed with other natural materials. But the most important part of the whole salt room really is about the halogenerator. And if you don't have a halogenerator, then you don't have halotherapy. And unfortunately, there are some facilities around the United States and elsewhere that build these enormous caves, or they have this beautiful salt walls, and they're making claims about the benefits of how it can help air being cleansed, or respiratory improvement, or that there's negative ions that get generated. Well, there's absolutely no evidence for that. Halotherapy is an evidence-based, scientific, and research-based modality that in many countries in Europe is a medical covered treatment. Here in the United States, for the most part, it's through the spa and wellness community, although it's now becoming more recognized by people in medical professions. Now, halogenerators, what I want to understand about installing them is you need to understand a little bit about the room itself. So as I mentioned, it is mounted vertically since the salt is in a tank, and by gravity gets lowered down into the grinder. So it needs to be vertically mounted, typically about 4.5 feet high off the ground. And there's a sleeve that comes through the room and blows the salt particles into the room. And it needs its fresh air because if the salt generator, if the halogenerator was actually inside the room, it would be sucking in salt air. So you can't really have it being inside of a room. There are certain circumstances where you're able to do so with certain kinds of filters, but for the most part, it's mounted on the outside of the room, plugs into a standard 110 outlet, or in Europe, net standard outlets. It uses very little power, and it can be flush mounted in a hallway or built into a room. Many of the designs of the rooms that we do may have a utility room or a mechanical room, or use it in an adjacent room. But basically, that's where a halogenerator gets installed. So you need to know, in your particular situation, where can that halogenerator be mounted? Now, part of determining some of where it gets mounted is the size of the room. Salt chamber has a couple different models based on the square footage and cubic volume of airspace that you are utilizing for putting in a salt room. Knowing where the halogenerator is, what shape of the room, the size of the height of the ceiling, what the room has been constructing from, where the door is, that often helps determine where it's the best place of putting the halogenerator. Knowing how many chairs are going to be in the room and where people are seated becomes part of the equation of setting up your salt room. Now, the second aspect that is that you need to manage your heating, ventilation, and AC. So what are the current ways of what's inside of your room? Is it a central system or a multi-split system? Do you have an air supply or a return in the room? Can an exhaust be put into the room? How are you going to manage the humidity and temperature? It's important to know what the shape of the room is in, because you want to be able to draw the salt aerosol evenly throughout the room so that the right amount of salt particles are being exposed to the people that are inside the room. If you're having other lighting and fixtures, you want to make sure that they're made out of corrosive-free materials, such as stainless or aluminum or plastic. If you're having speakers in your salt room, you want to make sure those are marine-grade quality, like are used often on yachts. So there's different aspects of what goes into mounting a halogenerator and installing it. You want to be able to do so that everybody is getting exposed to the salt particles, where in some cases, depending on how your room is set up, it often sometimes doesn't work in getting the salt particles everywhere. That's why we provide free consultation to you, to your contractor, architects, or whatnot that are helping you design the salt room. So the last piece that goes into a salt room, as we talked about, is what kind of decor that you want to utilize. And while we manufacture and import Himalayan salt and create some very unique environments, as you notice on our website at Salt Chamber and looking at our gallery, we have complete shop drawings and installation kits that go into details about utilizing the Himalayan bricks and the decor and other types of designs that can be done. But again, it's all about the halogenerator. That's what makes all of the efficacy. So when I first started Salt Chamber, we were the exclusive North American distributor and service center for two types of manufacturers. And we really branded our halogenerators, which has become now a federal trademark known as Salt Effects. And so we had two types of different machines that we were utilizing in designing salt rooms. And for the most part, they would handle a small space up to a large space, up to, let's say, 450 square feet. In fact, when we first developed our first salt booth back at the same time, we had this one halogenerator that could be used for rooms or for the salt booth, based on how you can control its concentration levels. And while there were other manufacturers that had other halogenerators, really, and still to this day, there really are not any that are made in the US. But we became very familiar with a lot of these equipments because we tested them. We did our research. In fact, we were servicing many of these types of halogenerators and understanding how they operated. And so the technology has definitely grown and evolved, and more innovation with the types of grinders and feeders that some of the very first ones were being utilized. Some of the electrical control box issues that they were having, where salt was, impeding the operation. So we have the records and the logs of all the service issues of what some of the halogenerators are like out in the marketplace. And that's when we started to really work on developing and improving the technology. And so we then first introduced our new halogenerators shortly thereafter that now had control boxes built inside. They had different programming features. They were able to be controlled with Bluetooth and remote control. They were made out of different components, utilizing stainless steel and special plastic polymers. And so technology evolved over the last couple of years in terms of what you could be doing, including some of the certifications on quality and safety. Now, one of the big things that had happened was we wanted to create a smaller halogenerator. We identified a trend that there were starting to become smaller salt rooms in converting treatment rooms or massage rooms or smaller rooms that didn't need such a large halogenerator. And in fact, we were doing the same thing for our booths. And so we developed the first generation of our multi-salt effects halogenerator, which could handle booths and up to rooms 150 square feet. And so before, our original salt booth had this larger multifunctional type of halogenerator. Now all of a sudden, we're able to bring our costs down and still have the efficacy of having the right size salt particles being distributed in a small space. And that's what revolutionized part of the industry when we were creating new types of salt booths. The multi-salt booth, which was more for residential, our spa salt booth, and today we even have a salt and sound salt booth that incorporates our halogenerator along with special chromotherapy lights built into the glass, backlit by white Himalayan bricks, and involved with frequency-infused music. And our smaller halogenerators started to be adopted in different designs in terms of rooms, converting sauna rooms, ways that you could put the halogenerator in different environments to make it more accessible and usable inside of facilities. So you started to see smaller salt rooms or massage rooms now become multi-purpose type rooms by having a halogenerator attached to them, including smaller children rooms, and in fact, being portable and being utilized for things such as salt therapy in the equine industry. So we've got a lot of experience about halogenerators, and when we embarked on looking at who to partner with, our main considerations of halogenerators that we were evaluating was what is the efficacy of the halotherapy? What are the particle sizes, and how do you can control the concentration levels? What kind of quality controls do they have? What kind of testing do they do? Safety and reliability, big issues. You are talking about a commercial application, and while many uses are for the personal and home use, we really wanted to make sure that everything that we were doing exceeded requirements and standards in the marketplace. You want to evaluate the capabilities, different size rooms, how you can program the halogenerator, how it can interact with and synchronize with your HVAC system, and having very different functionality in how you can utilize the different halogenerators. Of course, the ease of operating it and caring and the maintenance of it. And of course, what you're getting a price and a good value for. And most importantly, having the right kind of training, service, and warranty. So when we partnered with our medical device company, they are the only ones that have certain standards that they must adhere to, given the strict standards of making other equipment, such as nebulizers and blood pressure equipment. So they have specific industry standards for being a medical device facility, as well as testing to ensure the right size particle sizes, the right concentration levels are being designed based on understanding the cubic volume of airspace in your room. Therefore, having sensors to help monitor the right size particles have already been built into the design of our halogenerator systems. Now, Salt Chamber also is the only company in North America to have a bricks and mortar facility where we are manufacturing our Himalayan salt decor and designs. We have a complete showroom, and we have a complete service center, as well as where our offices are. And so we really are committed to our customers and clients in taking care of them, from designing and planning a salt facility to converting a single room into a salt room, or adding things like a salt booth to your facility as well. All of our halogenerators consistently have the smallest particle sizes to get deep into the respiratory and skin. We only use medical grade stainless blade cutting mechanisms and components to ensure that we're utilizing the right polymers so that salt doesn't get stuck anywhere, and using the right corrosive-free materials to ensure you have ease of operation of your halogenerator. Again, we're the only company that are manufactured in a medical device company. We have our federal trademark. We have both of our equipments UL and CE registered and listed, which has to do with all of the safety issues around the electrical components. We have the only Bluetooth remote control halogenerators. We have 9 memories that you can program in. You can control the salt feeding and concentration levels and length of sessions. It comes with auxiliary switches to control not only just your HVAC, but if you wanted to have your lights go on or off or sound systems, we've got built-in auxiliary switches to help control that, all from the halogenerator. Our halogenerators also are really the simplest to utilize, because what keeps them together are very high-powered industrial magnets. So taking them apart does not require unscrewing or wing nuts or other types of things that are on other halogenerators, which makes it real easy to clean and the amount of time it takes to take care of the units. We have a 3-year manufacturer warranty, plus a lifetime warranty on the main components of the feeder, grinder, and fan. So we also have the best warranty. And as I said, we are the only North American facility that really has its own service and innovation center. So when you're looking at what is important to you, is to understand that not all halogenerators are the same. They're all manufactured in different places, and the things that are most important in terms of the quality, the efficacy, its functionality, the auxiliary capabilities, being able to have a reliable source, understanding the warranty issues, that's all part of what you want to be doing when you're looking at evaluating a halogenerator for your facility. So when it comes to the Salt Effects halogenerators, you can see all the different aspects that really distinguish our halogenerators from others. We've got a toll-free support line. We provide training certification, not just on the operation of your halogenerator, but also around salt therapy itself, understanding how it works, why it works, who benefits, so that you can actually have a staff and yourself be trained to best communicate this modality to your customers and to people into your community. Our Salt Effects Pro halogenerator is the one that handles rooms up to 450 square feet. It comes with a container of halo salt, which will last about 100 to 200 sessions based on the size of the room. Additional halo salt is $25 for this 10-pound container. So it's literally costing you pennies a session. It comes with a cleaning kit. It comes with spare parts, because we don't ever want you to have any downtime. And given we have this warranty, we're confident in our materials, but just like in your car, having special extra fuses or a spare tire, we don't want you to ever be in a situation where you can't be up and running. So we get all of this included with your Salt Effects Pro halogenerator. We have the spec sheets for it. So at the end of this webinar, if you're interested in getting more information, just email us and we can send you the detailed spec sheets. Our multi-Salt Effects halogenerator is what is great for rooms that are up to about 150 square feet. This is also the same halogenerator that we use on our booths, as well as retrofitting saunas and for home use. So it also comes with its own kit as well. Same thing, spec sheets are available. So we have your user manual, we have our online training, and very detailed instructions for everything that you need to know, but we actually have one-on-one training with you so that when you receive your halogenerator, we walk you through everything you need to know about programming it, operating it, cleaning and caring for it. Some of the questions we're often asked is, can it be mounted on the ceiling? And as we said earlier, it really needs to be vertically mounted about 4.5 feet, because you need to have access to it. You need to put salt into it. You need to be able to clean the unit a couple times a day, depending on its usage. So this is something that cannot be mounted on the ceiling. people ask, can we kind of have room dividers? Can we put up and have one part of the room be one way and one part of the room the other way? Well, depending on your HVAC system and how you could draw the salt to all the areas of the room, it could be possible to have half walls or room dividers, but that's something we'd have to look at the plans with you. Can a halogenerator serve more than one room? Currently, there is no technology for that. You need a halogenerator for each room. Because of the size of these salt particles and how they get dispersed, it literally has to be connected to the room. So you can't have multiple hoses coming from this halogenerator. So that technology is not there yet. So if you have if you want to have multiple salt rooms, you'll need to have a halogenerator for each room. It uses very low power consumption. This is a standard 110 outlet unit. Small amperage is utilized. So it's just like plugging in and utilizing a computer or a coffee machine. It's just a standard electrical device. How often do you clean it? Really depends on the frequency of usage. Because if you're busy and you're going from one session to the next, then the salt is constantly being moved through the halogenerator, and you don't need to clean it except at the end of the day, where you really want to do a job because you don't want to leave any salt particles around, because even in low humidity, it's going to absorb and clump up. If you have a facility when you're not utilizing it one session after another, then you want to make sure that the amount of salt you're utilizing is being utilized and not left in the device, since that could harden up as well. So that's something we can get into the details, but at most, it takes 1 minute or less during the day to ensure that with the brushes and the compressed air can, that it's clean. And at the end of the day, taking the components apart and making sure they're clean takes less than 4 minutes a day. How much salt does it use? Again, that's going to vary depending on the size of the room you have. The larger halogenerators have a capacity of up to 150 grams, as well as extension feeders that we have for adding additional salt. If you're using a salt booth or a smaller salt room, it's utilizing less salt. And this is all part of the programming and understanding the dimensions of your room. A salt booth session can be done as an effective session in as little as 10 minutes. A room that's about 150 square feet or less, an effective salt session can be given in as little as about 25 minutes. So you can actually have 2 sessions per hour for that kind of a room. And rooms that are larger, typically around 45 minutes for an effective session. What could go wrong? Well, if you don't take care of it, you could get hardening of salt or salt getting into different places from the lack of cleaning and maintaining it. There are times where there are spikes in electricity depending on where you live, whether it's in your building or from outdoor circumstances such as storms. And so sometimes a fuse or some electrical components can go wrong if they're not properly cared for. But we have machines still to this day, from the very first ones when I got involved in 2011, that are still operating today. And those are the older models. So the moral of the story really is, if you take care of this device, it's going to last a long time. Plus, you have all the components you need to make sure that you're going to be able to use this machine and have a strong life cycle, given the spare parts and the lifetime warranty that you have. So, a couple of things to mention here in closing. From some of the research about particle sizes and how the benefits of salt therapy can be of benefit to you, we strongly urge you to visit the salttherapyassociation.org website. They are the ones that really have the educational materials, the medical research, and a lot about what the innovation is going on with the industry. So you strongly recommend you check out the Halotherapy Association. And next steps with us is if you're interested in finding out more about how we can assist you in understanding what you're doing in your facility or for your salt room, schedule a consultation with us. You'll see down below a place where you can actually schedule a time that works and get a free consultation. If you got floor plans for us to look at, or you have some more specific questions involved with your HVAC, let us know. We also have a halogenerator buying guide that you can have access to. So please take a look at this information, ask questions, become more educated, and whatever we can do to assist you, that's what we're here for. So please reach out to us, visit our website, give us a call. Other than that, I appreciate your time today and really thank you for participating in our web class, Everything You Need to Know About Halogenerators. Thank you all and have a great day.